Okay. Good evening and welcome to the Township Committee meeting of May 22nd, 2018. Ms. Borg, will you please call the roll?
Committeeman Burchett.
Here.
Committeeman Delcourt.
Still here.
Committeeman Sirachi.
Back again.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Here.
Mayor McCauley.
Here.
Administrator Ferreira.
Here.
And Attorney Willard.
Here.
Please join me in a salute to the flag this evening. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be advised, in accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, that this notice of this meeting was made by the posting on the bulletin board at the Hillsborough Township Municipal Complex and notifying the officially designated newspapers that this meeting would take place at the Hillsborough Township Municipal Complex, 7:30 p.m. on May 22nd, 2010. First this evening, we have approval of minutes, approval of the May 8th, 2018 regular session meeting minutes. May I have an approval, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments from the dais on those? No. Comments from the floor? All right. Roll call, please.
Committeeman Burchett.
Yes.
Committeeman Delcourt.
Yes.
Committeeman Sirachi.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Yes.
Mayor McCauley.
Yes. Reports this evening from committee liaisons on receipt of reports, petitions, or communications tonight. Committeeman Bichette, you're first.
From the Economic Business Development Commission, save the date. The next Hillsborough Business Association Business Social will be Tuesday, July 31st at Roycebrook Golf Club from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Details to purchase tickets will be out soon through the Hillsborough Business Association e-news. To sign up for the HBA e-news, please go to hillsboroughbusiness.org. From the Municipal Alliance, ever wonder what might be hiding in your child's bedroom? Join us on Tuesday, June 5th for Hiding in Plain Sight at the Auten Road School for a presentation to assist parents in looking for clues that might be an indication of drug or alcohol use. Also from the Office of Emergency Management, June marks the beginning of the hurricane season. FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Association, offers tips on family hurricane preparedness planning. Be sure to check out the e-news for more information. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Committeeman Delcourt?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a reminder that on June the 2nd, in conjunction with the YMCA Hillsborough Hop 5K, we'll be having our annual Green Living and Wellness Fair. You can check out the e-news for all the details about the day's events, as well as a poster contest that's going to be held for the wellness fair. At the Green Living and Wellness Fair that day, in addition to skin cancer screenings that will be conducted, there'll also be other health tests such as blood pressure, blood sugar, medical information, and other demonstrations that will be on display for everyone or available for people that would like to use it. If you would like to register for a skin cancer screening, please see the Health Department site on the Hillsborough Township webpage or the link to the registration page in the article that will appear in the mayor's email or the e-news, or you can contact our Health Department at 908-369-5652. In addition, blood supplies tend to run low in the summertime due to fewer available donors, so if you consider giving blood, this donation will be used at Robert Wood Johnson Barnabas Somerset Hospital in Somerville for any blood needs that we may have over the summer. So thank you for participating. If you can come out to the Wellness Fair. And from our Recreation Department, a call out to all of our veterans. There's still time to register for our 2018 Veterans Breakfast, which will be held this Saturday, May the 26th at 7:30 a.m. Any Hillsborough veterans and spouses are eligible to attend. Please call or stop by the Recreation Office to register. It's one of the highlights we have of the year, and of course the veterans will then kick off our parade that follows the breakfast along with our Garden of Honor ceremony. And finally, also from Recreation, just a reminder that Nice weather's finally here. It's time to sign up for our summer programs. Registration is open now, and great options continue to be available for things such as our summer camps. We also have summer sports camps, and we'll also have boys and girls basketball at Ann Van Middlesworth Park. It's a great outdoor program that's run in the evenings at Ann Van Park. If you haven't had your kids participate, a lot of fun. We've got new benches, redone the courts and the baskets, so please sign your kids up and have a nice evening during the summertime out at the park there. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Committeeman Sirachi?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few items this evening. First up from the Building Department, they just wanted me to pass along some changes coming from the DCA, which is Department of Community Affairs, with regards to roof replacements and repairs. Essentially, just to remind that you do need a permit in almost any situation if you are doing any work to your roof, such as a roof overlay or tear-off. The only exception in that case is if you have a detached single-family dwelling with regards to roof tear-off, you do not need a permit. But in all other cases, again, if you're doing a roof overlay or tear-off from, say a detached garage or a townhome, you do need to have a permit, and the building department asks if you do have questions to please contact them directly. And also from the building department, they're asking for your patience as they've implemented on May 7th a new cloud-based computer system called GovPilot. They are going through the transition, and as any of us know, when we implement new systems, there's a little bit of a painful learning curve and working out some of the bugs. So hopefully those delays won't be too long, and they will be up at full speed in the very near future. And from the engineering department, known as Commitment Delcor mentioned, spring is finally here. Going to look to do some work. Okay. We have the Power of Public Works. It's a theme for the 2018 National Public Works Week. And the poster, the purpose of the poster, it honors all the vital contributions our public works professionals make to everyday communities across North America. So, all the hard work they do with our roadways and bridges and helping along with our emergency management strategies. So now moving on to engineering. And with springtime and looking to do work, we know sometimes we want to perhaps bring in some soil to help reduce some of the grading on our properties. And the engineering department is just advising, well, first that we have a soil permit ordinance, which is designed to protect residents when they do bring in some soil to ensure that it's not contaminated. We've had examples where that has happened, and in one case, it turned out to be a very expensive lesson for the homeowner, because you would be responsible for the cost of removing that. So please do, if you're planning on accepting or receiving any soil dirt from locations from out of town, is to please get that permit, and also to please call the engineering office. The direct number is 369-4460, so they could guide you as to ensure not to have contaminated soil delivered to your home. And that's all I have this evening, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Thompson?
Thank you, Mayor. Just two quick updates from me. First, from our Finance Department, residents who have a special assessment payment due on June 1st can now save time and postage by paying on the Hillsborough Township website at www.hillsborough-nj.org. This is a free service that allows you to have a one-time payment taken directly from your checking account. And of course, on June 5th is primary election day here in the state of New Jersey. Polls are open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Please be sure to refer to your ballot for your polling information. I believe those should be mailed out within the next week or two, or they should have been mailed out this week. So, that is all from me, Mayor.
Thank you. Just a few things for me this evening. The Women's Club of Hillsborough is a member of the New Jersey State Federation of Women's Clubs, and this year, for the past 2 years, the state project has been to prevent child abuse in New Jersey. The materials for this state project is a blue and silver pinwheel, and the pinwheels represent our commitment to great childhoods, happy and safe for all children in our community. The Women's Club of Hillsborough will plant a pinwheel garden for the Memorial Day Parade this weekend on May 26th. Here at the complex building, will be out by the garden, I believe. This will serve as a reminder that all children deserve to be happy and safe, and we urge all citizens to engage in activities that strengthen families and communities to provide that optimal environment for children to learn, grow, and thrive so that all children can benefit of happy, healthy, and safe childhoods. The save the date this evening, we are finally going to do this. I know it's been on the agenda for a while. The Hillsborough Township, in conjunction with VPW Post 8371, we're proud to announce the official dedication of Lance Corporal James E. Langan Way. There will be a ceremony on Wednesday, June 13th at 6 p.m. here in the Garden of Honor, which is in the front corner of our building. And Lance Corporal James Langan was a Hillsborough High School graduate who was tragically killed in Beirut in Lebanon in 1983 during a peacekeeping mission. We're dedicating a street in his name. All Hillsborough residents are invited to join as on the 13th. Also, the Township is collecting scenic photos for the 2019 Town Planner Calendar. We send a calendar out every year, and we always go out to our public to see if they have any great photos to submit. So please submit them with high resolution to the Township Clerk, Ms. Pam Borek. Her Township email address is pborek@hillsborough-nj.org. We'll be recognizing the 2018 contributors at an upcoming meeting. As always, you can stay connected here with all the events and more via Friday e-newsletter and Twitter. TV 29 and the Hillsborough YouTube channels showcase our meetings and Hillsborough The Good Life episodes, and Swift Reach 911 is for traffic and emergency notifications. And that's actually it for me tonight, so we're moving on to our proclamations this evening. And we ask that after you receive your recognition, please return to your seat, and we'll take a brief pause at the end of recognitions to allow for your departure if you so choose. So thank you. And Doris Levine, an instructional assistant at Hillsborough Middle School, has received the honor of being named as Hillsborough Middle School's Educational Services Professional of the Year for 2018. Ms. Levine has been a member of the Hillsborough School District faculty since 2004. She provides individualized, extraordinary support for students with special needs. She served as the first transcription specialist captioning classes for students with severe hearing impairments and currently creates pre-vocational materials to support the moderate learning language disabilities and autism classes with the Work Readiness Program. The Township Committee of Hillsborough commends Doris Levine for being recognized as Hillsborough Middle School's Educational Services Professional of the Year, and we thank her for all of her hard work and dedication to the youth of Hillsborough. Congratulations.
I would like to thank our mayor and township committee members for honoring me this evening, acknowledging my efforts and years of service working for our district. My husband and I are very proud to have raised our 4 daughters here. They are the incredible women they are today in part because of the education they received in our district by the very same teachers and educational service professionals honored at events such as this. Hillsborough truly is one of the best places to live. Thank you again. Thank you again. Congratulations.
Bryn Briggs. Bryn Briggs, a senior at Hillsborough High School and a member of Girl Scout Troop 60261, has earned her Gold Award. Bryn's Gold Award project involved creating a pollinator garden at the municipal complex to enable pollinators, such as monarch butterflies, a place to lay their eggs, as well as to educate the community on various garden options. In addition to building the garden, she hosted a planting day for younger Girl Scouts and made several public presentations on the topic of pollinators. Bryn is a member of the National Honor Society and is on the executive board of the National Tri-M Music Honor Society. She is involved in the Hillsborough High School Wind Ensemble and is headed to the University of Connecticut in the fall to study cognitive science. The Hillsborough Township Committee extends our sincere congratulations to Bryn for having earned her Girl Scout Award, for an honor for both for her and for those who have guided her, and we wish her all the best in her future endeavors. Congratulations again. It's a wonderful project.
This was a very long and rewarding process, so I just want to thank all the family faces here at the Township and the Girl Scout community. I definitely couldn't have done it without everyone's support, so thank you.
Smile big with that one. I can see, right? I know we go through. Really good to see you. And we have a presentation just to say thank you to some of our volunteers here at the Township, the REACH folks. Want to come on up? Pam, do you want to come up? See you all face to face. Sometimes I want to see you. How are you? How are you? Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. How you doing? You're the one I see the most, I think. He's really tall.
I guess I should be in the middle, right? So I just want to thank all the interns here. We've been teaming with the high school for many years, and Hattie's here obviously tonight, being instrumental there, and also Barbara Parker and Cindy Assini. So it's great where I call our senior veterans, so we don't want to call them the employees old and our team here young, but it's really nice to bring our seasoned veterans, our department heads, and our employees, and bringing, the new youth here of America to bring in some new ideas, and with technology and learning from both, it's been extremely helpful. And with the team here, we've created and accomplished some great projects here in the Township. And without the interns here from the high school, then we'd be in big trouble here. Oh, my department heads, come on up here. Senior veterans, I didn't even see you guys there. So some of my department heads here. Thank you, David. Thank you, Ed, for coming, from our business advocate and from billing department. So it allows us to accomplish things in the Township that we wouldn't otherwise have with the resources we have here and some others that couldn't make it tonight. So we appreciate the partnership with the high school and with our interns also with Summer. And I know Pam is part of that as well, and she's over there taking pictures. But again, thank you all for your hard work, and we treat them like employees here. So our goal at the end is to bring them not only education here with all our departments here, but also ready for not only with college, but also with our business community. And a lot of them come back as employees here as well. So some of our interns have come back even from Rutgers. They started here and they're now my employees. So again, we appreciate it. So thank you. Thank you all.
We're going to pass along the salon names. I appreciate that.
My name is Patty L. Wasdike, and I'm the REACH coordinator at Hillsborough High School.
My name is Rohil Chadha, and I was an intern for the Office of Sustainability.
My name is Palak Shah, and I was intern for Business Advocate.
My name is Sri Raghavan, and I was also an intern for the Business Advocate's Office.
My name is Ria Lori. I was an intern at the Administration and Township Clerk's Office.
My name is Samir Shah, and I was an intern at the Hillsborough Health Department.
My name is Lokrashman Vasan, and I was an intern at the Hillsborough Health Department.
My My name is Patricia Kolodziejski, and I was an intern at the Department of Engineering.
My name is Eric Vandermeer, and I was a intern at the administrative office, and the clerk's office, and the mayor's office.
And all those front offices. Anyway, thank you so much for coming in. It's a pleasure for us to have you, and you can always teach us something when we can teach you something, and it makes a better community. So thank you all for being part of the REACH program, and to the school for partnering with us as well on this program. And we're going to squish together.
And then you'll see me at the end to get your certificates. Yeah, you guys can come a little bit front.
Maybe like make two lines a little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
There you go. Phones in the back.
And we're going sideways a little bit, too.
You're still uneven? Back there?
You're one. Yeah, first year, yeah.
For what? Oh, yeah.
We have 2 new police officers to swear in tonight, so we're going to move on to that right now. And I think first we will have Patrick Farrell. Come on up. Your family is welcome as well. I don't think so.
Yeah, you should do the resolution and swear him in.
Resolution first.
You do right from there.
Okay, we're here. Chief, how are you? We're going to move a resolution forward, so we're just going to pass that approval first, and then we'll swear you in. Sorry about that. I thought we had to do it later. Okay. So appointments this evening, there's a resolution authorizing the hiring of Patrick Farrell and Jacob Lawrence as police officers in the Hillsborough Township Police Department. May I have a motion to appoint, please?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
All right, any,
Committeemember Burchett?
Yes.
Committeeman Delcourt?
Oh, roll call, sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you were asking who seconded. Yes.
Committeeman Sarachi? Yes. Deputy Mayor Thompson?
yes.
Mayor McCauley?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for moving that forward. So we use a, put you up front, so you have to wait the whole meeting. You can speak into this.
Let's let somebody else hold it.
I, Patrick M. Farrell,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
and I will bear true faith
and I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I do further solemnly swear
I do further solemnly swear
that I will impartially
that I will impartially
and justly perform
and justly perform
all of the duties of the office of
all the duties of the office of
police officer
police officer
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You have to sign this for me. Thank you. So thank you. Congratulations. You're now sworn in. When you start. We're good? How are you? Good to see you. You nervous? A little bit. Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. How are you? Pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to meet you. There you are. Oh my gosh, I heard them in the back before. I couldn't see you. Come on over here.
Why don't you stand behind so they can get him on camera?
Sorry.
The other way. Yeah, the other side.
I, Jacob S. Lawrence,
I, Jacob S. Lawrence,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith
and I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same,
and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I do further solemnly swear
I do further solemnly swear
that I will impartially
and justly perform
all the duties
all the duties
of the office of
of the office of
police officer
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Pleasure. There's all right, that's a lot of hard work. You try to get the little ones to smile.
Yeah, right.
Well, sworn in, good luck on the road. We'll be seeing you, I'm sure. And thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. This concludes our proclamations and appointments. Congratulations to our recipients and our new police officers. We're happy to have you here. As long as you would like to stay, you can. We'll take a brief moment, just in case you do wish to leave. There will be a budget presentation coming up from Dr. Schiff at our Hillsborough School District Superintendent, if you'd like to stick around. If not, we'll take a brief pause and let you exit at this time. Thank you. Okay, thank you. The next item is the Board of Education budget presentation. So, Dr. Schiff?
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, members of the Township Committee. It's always a pleasure to come and to share our budget as a school system. I also want to express my congratulations to the new officers that were sworn in, and my appreciation for your continued support for our students and our staff members through your proclamations. It's very much appreciated.
Our
Thank you
honor.
so much.
They're excellent. Thank you.
So let me walk you through a presentation that I did recently with our Board of Education to talk about our budget. Our budget calendar begins in October of the prior year, where principals and department heads submit their initial budget requests with rationales to myself as well as Mr. Mahmood, our business administrator. During February and March timeframe, I submit the budget requests to each of 3 standing Board of Education committees that are responsible for a different slice of our budget. Those committees are the Education Committee, Operations, and Human Resources. On March 15th, the Ides of March, we actually receive our state aid, and that is an important revenue that helps us to balance the budget. On March 20th, the Operation Committee meets and does a final review of the tentative budget. March 26th, the board votes on the tentative budget. And in between kind of that time frame and the time frame that we actually vote on our final budget on April 30th, each of the committee discuss and make some modifications to the budget, and then a final budget is presented to the board and the public on April 30th, and the board voted to approve the budget unanimously. So what are the program improvements of the 2018-2019 budget? Each year we highlight a particular discipline area. This discipline area that we're highlighting this year is social studies. That means that materials, supplies, curriculum writing, and training are all focused in that particular area. We have also budgeted a new students assistance counselor. This was an item that many in our community have reached out to us, asking us for more and additional supports for children that have additional needs. We've also made additional security investments. We have about $50,000 that's set aside for additional security needs. And we put into the budget a new American Sign Language position. We started American Sign Language a couple years ago, and it has really taken off. Lots of kids are doing it, and it's a wonderful program, and it also fulfills now a world language requirement as well. We also have a new position in the budget that's an HVAC maintenance position. We're actually contracting out a lot of maintenance services to a private company. We anticipate that this will offset the costs of this particular position and not have to contract out privately. The cost drivers are not that much different than in previous years. The largest cost drivers, we're a service-oriented industry. Our greatest investment in our district are in the people that serve the needs of the children in our district, and those are really in 2 areas, that's salary increase as well as healthcare costs. Special education costs also are increasing beyond 2% each year annually, and transportation is also increasing. And that is actually linked to special education cost also. So some of our children, we provide services in district. For other children with different needs, we actually provide services out of district, and we need to transport them to other schools outside of Hillsborough. Some of the ways that we're managing costs, we have our employees making contributions to their health care costs. Over 20% of their premiums are picked up by our employees. We do revenue generating activities. We have a program that parents can opt into called the CAP program, which is Children at Play, which allows for families that have their children in half-day kindergarten to pay an additional fee in order to remain for the rest of the day. It's actually have a recreational program for those children. That has actually, this is now the 5th year that we're doing it, and it has generated now net $1 million that have offset additional costs within the budget. So this is now the 5th year, and we're very pleased and appreciative of that program. We also have purchasing agreements. We're able to enjoy economies of scale. As a large district, we also use E-rate, which is a federal program that allows us to offset certain technology costs. And again, the HVAC position is going to minimize our overtime costs as well as contracted services. Now, this is an important slide. This actually goes through our personnel net increases and decreases. So in this current budget, we had additional needs that weren't originally budgeted. And these areas are almost entirely in special education. We had to add 2 additional special education teachers, a half-time preschool teachers, 9 full-time equivalent instructional assistants, and a half-time nurse. So in current budget, which is going to roll over into future budget, we have 12 full-time additional positions. Newly budgeted new needs in our district, and this again are net, is 1 special education teacher, 1.5 instructional assistants, 1, as I mentioned before, student assistance counselor, and the HVAC maintenance position, for an addition of 4.5 full-time equivalent positions. So unfortunately, we couldn't keep all of the positions moving forward. We had to make some reductions, and our staff reductions going into the 18-19 school year are 4 teachers at the high school, 1 transitional primary teacher, a total decrease of 5 positions. But that also includes new positions that have grown as our needs have grown throughout the district as well. Now, this is a very important chart. This shows our state aid, which is has become a shrinking portion of our entire budget. But you can see in the 2009-2010 school year, we received over $26 million from the state of New Jersey. And then the recession hit, and the results of the recession were a significant decrease in state aid in the 2010 school year, a couple years of increase, and then our budget for our state aid has remained relatively flat since the 2012-2013 school year, still over $1 million less than we received in the 2009-2010 school year. So we're slightly over $25 million from the state for the 2018-2019 school year. Again, $1 million less than what it was 9 years ago. And that presents challenges for our budget as well as for the community. So there is a tax levy cap, similar to your tax levy cap, a little bit different for public schools. We can increase 2% from the general levy tax fund from this current year's budget, and that's an increase of $1.8 million. And we have also taken a health care waiver, which allows us to go above the 2% if necessary. Our additional health care waiver is another $1.7 million. As a result, and I think the question is, well, how much are my taxes going to go up? How is this going to affect the tax rate? For Hillsborough residents that live in a home that's assessed at $400,000, the increase is going to be $9 for the year. So it's almost relatively flat, but a slight increase of $9. The tax levy is increasing by 3.62% from what it was in the 17-18 levy to next year's levy. And the rate is actually going up in a very small amount, from 1.605 to 1.607, an increase of 0.14%, and that's why it's only increasing by $9. Now, we're not just Hillsborough Township for the Hillsborough Public Schools. We also include Millstone Borough as well. And we have to estimate a tax rate for them as well. Their tax levy is increasing by 3.8%. The tax rate is going up by 4.45%, and for a home that's assessed at $400,000, the annual increase for a resident in Millstone will be $310 for the year. So how do we budget relative to other districts and what the state averages? What this chart shows is the total budgetary cost per pupil from the most recent data that the Department of Education makes available. This is the 2016-2017 audited data. On the left-hand side, that's the state average per pupil cost for the average kid in the state of New Jersey, which is $15,714 per student. There are different categories that allow districts to compare itself to similar districts, and we're in the category of K through 12 districts with 3,501 pupils or more. And you can see that cost per pupil is $15,575, slightly less than what the state average is. However, Hillsborough is at $14,964, which is much less, as you can see, than what the state average is. Now also, if we take apart just the administrative cost per pupil also, which people are always interested in, are we administratively heavy or not? Well, what the data says is that the state average total administrative cost per pupil is about $1,700. It's about $1,600 for similar districts, and we're about $1,400 per pupil for administrative costs, much less than we see in the district as well as similar districts as well as state average. In terms of frugal spending, our spending is $750 less per pupil than the state average. For every kid, we're spending $750 less than what the average state expenditure is per pupil. So if we spent the state average, we would actually be expending an additional $5.4 million. So this is our total budget. It's actually broken into three different areas. The general fund, which is where we expend all of our regular expenses for teachers' salaries, books, pencils, etc. There's also a line on grants and entitlement funds. We receive grants at the state level as well as at the federal level. And we have our debt service, or how we pay for larger construction projects that have already been approved through referenda from the district. Our overall budget anticipated for the 2018-2019 school year is about $130 million, which is an increase of $1.468 million, a total percentage increase of 1.14. Some key takeaway points. Again, our focus is going to be on social studies this year coming up. We have addressed some of the needs that have been expressed by our community, and this is a mental health supportive services, a student's assistance counselor is in the budget, as well as additional investments in school security. And that kind of sums it up. So I thank you for your time and attention, and be willing to answer any questions that you have.
Can I just ask two quick questions, Dr. Schiff? One, where's enrollment at right now?
We're at about 7,400, kids or so.
Do you see that trending up, or has it been, because we were going down for a while.
Yeah, we're just starting to trend up, and we did a 5-year projection, we did a demographic study, and it looks like we're going to be increasing a little bit more than 4% over a 5-year period of time.
4 or 5, okay, all right.
So it's starting to go up. I think, honestly, that's a combination of an improved economy, real estate turning over, as well as additional developments.
Well, we also had the big boom it was the 90s when everything got built. I mean, population went up by 51% in the 90s to 2000. So, I mean, all those ones just graduated, and I guess those parents are now finally moving on to their retirement homes and stuff like that, or their next homes, or to South Carolina. So, okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Just on a couple of the cost drivers that you indicated. One, you talked mainly about the personnel costs, salary, and health care. Do you have any percentage as to how much that increased year over year, just that one particular driver?
Yeah, the salary is around 2+% or so overall. So our negotiated agreement was about 2.5, I believe 2.55. But there were some other parts of that contract that actually offset some of that cost increase. So the real kicker is healthcare, and how healthcare is going up by double digits year after year. And for school boards, we can go into the school employee state health benefits plan. However, if you have a good loss ratio, which means your community is healthier, it can be competitive in the private market. So we had left the state health benefits plan, we moved into Horizon, and at our last board meeting, or actually 2 board meetings before, we moved from Horizon to Aetna. So we're doing whatever we can to try to save money. However, that increase from Aetna alone is close to 13%. So that's a real challenge for us. I'm sure it's a challenge for you too in controlling health.
What prompted the move then?
I'm sorry?
What was driving the move then from
Horizon to Aetna?
Yeah.
Savings. It was our Aetna healthcare was going up, I think, 15% or somewhere around there. So the differential is helpful, during this period of time. But something that I think is important to emphasize, the state is moving back towards the SFRA, the School Funding Reform Act of 2008, which dictates how much school districts should be funded by the state of New Jersey. And it's a combination of what is the local fair share, what's the adequacy budget, and how much state aid would be, which is the difference between local fair share and adequacy budget. And there is risk that the district is going to be losing aid as a result of that, as that continues to be rolled out. Steve Sweeney, the president of the Senate, has spoken about this and is concerned about shifting aid from some districts to other districts, and that's a concern of ours. So we're working with our legislators to try to minimize the impact to our community of loss of any state aid.
And sorry, one last question. So the other driver you talked about was security.
Yeah.
Obviously, another week, another school shooting. I know security is paramount to many of the parents. Can you talk about some of the measures that you've put in place, and do you foresee that in the coming budget or coming budgets that amount spent on security will have to significantly increase?
Yeah. I'm glad you asked the question because it gives me an opportunity to express my appreciation to Chief Powell. He has done an extraordinary job of being collaborative with me. The day after Parkland, he and I were on the phone together talking about how can we help our community feel safer, protect our children, protect our staff. And without hesitation, he made a change, and now the patrols are actually visiting each of our schools almost every day. And we're trying to recalibrate the thinking of police presence in public schools rather than there's a problem and that's why a police officer is there. No. This is part of community policing. This is, our police are welcomed there. They're embraced by our kids, embraced by our staff, and that's been very, very helpful. We're looking at certain entrance hardening, and we have worked with some vendors on that. We have interviewed a few different private firms on school security that specialize in it. The board has made a decision to work with our DOE. There's actually a school office of emergency preparedness that's out of the DOE, and they can provide some of those services for free. We have just begun the process of scheduling a full threat and vulnerability assessment with multiple agencies, including Hillsborough Township Police, the Prosecutor's Office, the Office of Homeland Security, and the state police also. So they work collaboratively to provide these assessments for schools free of charge. And we're going to be one of the first in the state to go through this comprehensive analysis. And I anticipate that coming out of that analysis are going to be recommendations. Some of those recommendations may be personnel, some of those recommendations may be capital improvements and some other type of things. Some of it may be technology, some of it may be policy change. So these are experts in that field. I'm not an expert in school security. But finding these experts, especially when it's interagency through Trenton, through county, and through local law enforcement officials, I think can provide good information for our board to make a well-informed decision.
Thank you.
So just was wondering, are there any new state mandates that are driving?
Well, we have a couple new state mandates that were unfunded mandates. I don't know if you all have this issue with carbon monoxide systems that are now required in I know, public schools. I don't know if they're in other public environments.
It's going to be required in all public buildings.
And it is not inexpensive. This is over $100,000 or so to make sure that we comply with these new requirements for carbon monoxide detectors. So this is new law, and that's important. We also have new laws at other levels with HIB and with, HIB, which is the harassment, intimidation, and bullying law, which requires a lot of work and staff time in order to make sure that our kids are safe. It's an important investment, but there's no state money that follows that. So those things eat up other non-discretionary funds.
Okay. And I also know, a couple of years ago, I know there were some issues with the bank cap.
With the bank cap? Yeah, we have no more bank cap.
So do you feel that's going to provide some challenges, I guess, going down? Or?
Yeah, I anticipate it's going to be very difficult, especially if the state anticipates a state aid reduction. I mean, you saw that chart where it's so many years in a row that we've been flat. To actually think that that's going to start to go down rather than start to go back up where it was 9 years ago is going to provide the district with a whole bunch of challenges.
So is that the new governor's initiative to go back to that, or?
It is, well, yes, but the legislature is very much involved in it. It's not just the executive branch.
Okay. Any other comments on the desk?
Do you run surplus? Do you have a surplus budget?
We have a fund balance that is carried over from year after year. So we try to anticipate spending about 98% or so of our budget from one year to the next. And whatever we don't spend then rolls over into the next year's budget. So we journal, or we actually record what we anticipate that surplus is going to be at the end of the year. So if we spend that down, if we spend that on other things, and we don't meet what we budgeted for that fund balance, then our entire budget has to shrink by whatever that shortfall is. So we do keep surpluses in the same way that the township keeps surpluses, but our surpluses are about 2% of our entire budget. And that makes things tight when things come up and it's, it's unknown.
So you don't have a surplus fund at all?
Well, that's our fund balance. Our fund balance is our surplus. So if we need to dip into that for, a boiler goes, or we have some roof repairs, or we have special education needs that I identified up there that weren't budgeted, that's where we go for it. And if we're able to underrun energy cost or what we put for snow removal and those type of things, then it's a better year. If we have a bad winter, then it gets tougher for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Nope. All right. Thank you, Dr. Schiff, coming and presenting this evening.
Thank you
Appreciate
so much. You got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're moving on to new business. None at this time. Whoa, that was loud. There's no new business at this time, so we'll be moving on to public comment on new business and matters that are not on the agenda tonight. Are there any comments for any matters not on the agenda? All right, seeing none, we'll be moving forward to public hearings. Mr. Maskey will be joining us from Planning Department. The public hearing tonight, 2018-05, is the ordinance of the Township of Hillsborough, Somerset County, New Jersey, amending Chapter 188, Land Use and Development, Article 5, Districts and Standards, Section 188-113.5, TC Town Center District of the Code of the Township of Hillsborough. The proposed ordinance would amend the Town Center District to add single-use multifamily residential buildings to the list of permitted uses, but only when constructed as part of a mixed-use development. This would be accomplished through the creation of an overlay district within the TC zone and the addition of a new conditional use within existing major shopping centers. Mr. Maskey will provide us with some additional details.
Thank you, Mayor. You pretty much covered it, but
Sorry.
that's okay. As you may recall, the committee introduced this ordinance on April 24th and transmitted the proposed ordinance to the Planning Board for their comment in accordance with the municipal land use law. The board reviewed the ordinance at its May 10th meeting and had no objections or modifications to the ordinance. The mayor pretty well covered the substance of the ordinance. Just to add a little bit, there are two main components to this ordinance. The first adds the single-use multifamily buildings as a permitted conditional use in existing shopping centers that currently have a minimum of 90,000 square feet of commercial space. The second component creates a mixed-use inclusionary overlay district on 8 adjoining lots fronting on southbound Route 206, totaling 8 acres. It doesn't change or introduce a new use to the town center district. It just takes a restriction off of it in terms of its placement on a site in a mixed-use development. If the committee has any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Comments, questions?
Just to confirm from the, I think you just said, but it's really just how the units can be placed in the zone as opposed to, or in the types of buildings that are.
Correct. Currently, apartments, or as they're referred to in the ordinance as lofts, are permitted in a mixed-use building. They have to be on the second or third floor of a building with retail downstairs. This takes that restriction off. It can be in a single-purpose building, but it still requires it to be part of a mixed-use development. So there still has to be a fair amount of retail on the site and other mixed-use buildings.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Maskey. May I have a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance 2018-05?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any discussion from the dais further? Any discussion from the floor? Oops, sorry.
I just want, what we're starting to see is as as we get closer, knock on wood, to the completion of the bypass, the town center becomes really a long-awaited possibility that has the opportunity now to finally start to happen. So, this allows some changes to the zone that's already existing for town center. We've talked about it at planning board, and I think the general consensus is that it doesn't materially change what we're doing, but does allow some flexibility in what's going on in the zone, and really starts to position us to be able to start the town center process. So I think the planning board viewed it favorably.
Okay.
And just for clarification, because I know I've got, it's as far as it reaches,
Push it up.
is, with the town center, because I know some people think that the township is building the town center, and it's developers. And as Commissioner Mandelcore was saying, it's going to allow some flexibility for those developers who can actually help, create the vision of what the town center ordinances we're trying to envision when they got, when they were passed a number of years ago, so.
Okay. Any further discussion? All right. Any discussion from the floor? Seeing none. Oh, sorry. Well, if you have any questions, you have to come up to the microphone. State your name and address, please. And it can only be comments on this public hearing this time.
Twenty-four, 25%.
That's all I need.
My name is Diane Morrison.
I'm sorry. You might want to lower it just a little bit. Thank you. Just so we can hear you. Thank you.
My name is Diane Morrison. I live at 64 Gabriel Court.
Okay.
I'm in Hillsborough Point Condominium Association. And we seem to be right next to where all of this is going on, or might be going on. We are concerned. We a little confused. They have done they're starting the bypass, which is to eliminate or alleviate some traffic that's coming through Hillsborough. And by putting developments like this and putting in 57 homes across the way and so forth and so on, can't quite understand how they're going to alleviate the traffic when you're going to be making more traffic. Confused about that, and not entirely happy with the fact that you're rezoning that area to more than, say, single-family homes. They're going to be multiple family homes. Is that what we understand from that?
Well, it's not rezoning. We are clarifying, loosening up probably a little bit of the zoning itself, which Mr. Maskey had just stated. It's already in place, this particular zoning. I believe it's just really changing the particular use.
Yes, this zone has
of the
been in
housing.
place since, I believe, about 2008 or so. The town center concept was first introduced in 1999. The town center does not have any single-family homes. Well, there may be a couple left in it, but they're quickly changing over. The town center, you know what? Should have done this in the first place. Might help. Just to give you a little orientation so you know where we're at.
I know exactly.
Okay, so it's 206 running down the middle of the town center zone. This is the boundary of the town center zone. This is Amwell Road. This is the old Stop and Shop shopping center. Okay. Bottle King is right here. There's 5 or 6. It used to be single-family homes. Now there are various businesses. Post office is up in here. So this is for many, many years, has never been a single-family zone. It's been a mixed-use, commercial. The idea is it's supposed to become the township's downtown. And with the bypass coming out here, the idea is that it will take through traffic off of the existing 206. So people who just want to go north up towards the circle, they won't be on this stretch of 206 anymore. It's mainly local traffic and/or people who are actually living in before. So,
But if they live there, that traffic is going to now increase in order to go home.
but it should be offset by the amount of traffic that's being taken off, the through traffic that's being taken off. I mean, yes, if there's more people, more shopping going on there, but that's the whole idea of a town center. You want people living and shopping and recreating and creating a town center.
Well, the gentleman who was from the school system, I don't know if he's...
Can you speak into the microphone, please, sir? Yep.
I don't know if he's made any plans to cover the additional people that are going to be coming into this community. I mean, he had a very nice budget, but it's going to go out the window when all of these houses, at least we know 57 houses are going to be built there.
Mayor, can I say,
Yeah, I
can I
think
say a few words, Mayor?
I think the issue that we want to make sure we confirm is that, as noted, this is not a new zone. This has been in place, so you've been adjacent to it, probably as long as you've lived in your development there. Really, the town center plan is something that's been formulated for over a number of years. And what we're starting to see, as I said earlier, is we're starting to see the beginning of some of the possibilities of development, only because it wasn't really feasible until the bypass was completed. You're right, there'll be more people and activity along that stretch of 206 for the people that want to go shop or go eat at the restaurants that would theoretically be there, or that may be living in the units that are in that development. But those are already part of what's permissible in that zone. What we're doing today is simply allowing it to, instead of being part on top of a retail building, you can have a standalone building, part of a development that says you still have to have retail in that area if you want to have some apartment buildings, just like you would see in any real downtown type environment. So I just don't want to leave with the impression that somehow this is brand new and it wasn't ever contemplated to be a town center zone.
Okay, all right. I mean, we have no say in it, and...
Well, sure you do. You're a resident. Of course you have a say.
Well...
If I may, Mayor, I just have to make a few
Deputy Mayor
comments.
Thompson wants to make a few
First off,
statements.
I couldn't agree with you more, but let's talk about the realities of what got us here. It is the absolute inaction of our New Jersey legislature and our court system, who is legislating from the bench and forcing towns like Hillsborough to build thousands of units of affordable housing. That's what this all comes down to. There's no way to argue it. Yes, we've been talking about a town center since I was a child growing up here. We've been talking about a bypass since 1972. That's been on the map. Since 95 was supposed to come past where Pheasant's Landing was. They've been talking about this great bypass. It's finally happening today, but the necessity to do all the building that you're seeing anywhere in town, the reason Dr. Schiff has to put into his budget a 4% increase in school enrollment year after year is because Governor Murphy, Governor Christie, Governor Cody, Governor Corzine, Governor, who am I missing now? We got Governor McGreevey, Governor Whitman, have done nothing to stop the enforcement of this affordable housing crisis. And let's be clear, it's not that we don't want to see people be able to live in Hillsborough. That is not the reality. The reality is the state is saying you got to build thousands of units of affordable housing. And then you know who pays for that? You're paying for that. You're being forced to pick up the slack when it comes to saying we have to build additional schools. And no one is addressing that. The legislature has not acted on this one bit. And what's left is this administrative body, our planning board, our school system, that says, yeah, we have to plan for it, but you get no credit or relief. The senior freeze program is non-existent. It doesn't work the way it was supposed to. You haven't seen an increase in that in years. You used to get that wonderful check from the legislature, or from the governor, right before the election every year, where you got your rebates. That's gone. Now it's a credit if it's there, and it's 4 years behind. So what's got to happen next? If the residents of Hillsborough Point could start making calls to Governor Murphy, start calling Senate President Steve Sweeney, call Speaker Coughlin, call Kip Bateman, call Roy Fryman, and call Andrew Zwicker, our assemblyman right now. Call them. Say, what are you doing to stop my property taxes from increasing year over year and paying for this all additional affordable housing? Until that happens, we're going to have this argument every 3 months when we say, let's plan for building over here, building over there, or else a builder, a developer, who are the only ones who are benefiting from this, gets to come before us, say, you have to build this, and if you don't, I'm going to sue you, and you got to build triple the amount. And now there's 3,000 units being built. Until that reality happens, until residents like you, with us, the governing body, starts pushing back on the legislature and says, do something to fix this, it's never going to change. So I implore you and all the residents of Hillsborough Point, call those people I mentioned, call Governor Murphy and say you have to do something, because I don't want to see what's left of Hillsborough be built. So all I could say is, and let me be clear, it's not Republican or Democrat issue anymore. The issue is that Hillsborough will be changed forever if we don't all get together and do something on this immediately. So please help.
And they are aware of it, because I've been to several meetings down at the State House. Mayors from all over the state are actually talking about this, and it's unfortunate that some towns have already had to build out. You've seen in Princeton and other locations. It's just becoming one of those things that it's just overbuilt. And to Deputy Mayor Thompson's comments, as a real estate agent and him in the real estate industry, we see it that it's not getting anywhere. But they are aware of it. The legislators are aware of it. I think they need to hear more from the people, and really, not instead of just the elected officials almost complaining about it. They're not building for infrastructure, and they're not building for roadways. They're not planning for any of that, and they know that. Like, when we have meetings, 9 years now, the first question we all have is, how are we going to support this? And they just don't care. They're not thinking about the infrastructure, the people living next door. We're tied with the burden of finding locations and working with developers that we have to build around these affordable housing requirements. And it's quite significant, at best, to say. We haven't even received our final number yet, so I don't want to go into what they are right now. But it is a burden. We do understand where you are when you're on that zoning edge. But just to make it clear, we all said that the zoning has been in place. We're just modifying it slightly to make it a little more appealing to some builders and developers that will come in and build a downtown center.
Well, probably if you kept the stores down below and the housing above, you'd have less housing, which might not be bad to have more stores, less housing.
But the reality is you can't do that under this affordable housing laws. They are forcing us to build. That is the criminally negligent of the legislature, that they're forcing us to do that. It's the reality. You have to build the housing or you'd be sued. I can assure you no one up here would be changing the laws in this regard if we could just ignore it. But you can't, because when you ignore it, then, like I said, the big bully developer gets to come to the town and sue us and say we didn't build enough. And they will win, hands down, every single time. All I ask is if you could leave your name with our township clerk or administrator, and we will be happy to give you the names of every person you need to start calling immediately for legislative remedy, which should have happened 20 years ago, but let's start working on tomorrow.
I'm president of the association, and I will take that information and have some of the people that are living there now send out letters.
Thank you so much.
And we don't want you confused. At any point in time, you can always reach out to Mr. Maskey or our business administrator or myself to clarify anything along the way that you might be unclear about. Okay.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion?
Diane Morrison.
Any further discussion from the floor?
R-R-I-S-O-N.
Seeing none.
908-281-9322.
I think he's good.
Okay.
You have to wait for him.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. May I have a motion to close public hearing and adopt ordinance 2018-05?
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commander Bichette?
Yes.
Commander Delcor?
Yes.
Commander Sarachi?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Thompson?
Yes.
Mayor McCauley?
Yes. Introduction of new ordinances this evening. 2018-07, ordinance amending Chapter 172 of the Code of the Township of Hillsborough, titled Flood Damage Prevention. Further consideration and public hearing will be held on July 10th, 2018. This ordinance addresses clarification of some language in this ordinance. May I have a motion to introduce?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments from the dais on this yet? Okay. Any comments from the floor? Sir? Just state your name and address, please.
Good evening. My name is Laszlo Herman. I live on 206. And I have a question about this because I didn't know you have the damage prevention, flood damage conversion.
Prevention.
Can't see
Gotcha.
because of glasses. Flood damage prevention. I have a problem with the flooding since I moved in here 40 years ago. Every year is getting worse. All the construction around me, everybody promised that they're going to take care of it. I'm not going to have any problem. Every time it rains, I get flooded. Now it's coming into my house, okay? And I would like to know if you're going to do anything about it, because the last time you had the state give it some kind of a money to fix Roy's Brook. I called the public department, public service, or whatever you want to call it, public work, okay? And they said they're not going to do anything about that, what problem I have in there, and they're not going to clean the brook, they're not going to do anything in there. I'm wondering when you're going to change this wording in here, you're going to do anything about that, or it's going to stay the same way like it is? And with a new development, what you're going to trying to do now, okay, is going to get worse.
Where are you on Route 206?
I'll show you, Mayor.
Oh, okay.
That will do double duty.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Herman's property is right here.
So you're that
This is the new, we just approved the new doctor's medical office is this lot. And Mr. Herman's lot is right here.
So you're that stream that runs through the front, right?
You have a stream there?
Yeah. The
I
Royce
have
Brook
the
goes
brook in
through.
the back, I have a brook in the front, I have easements in there, I can do anything on the property. I'm just cleaning up after every flood. And I've been trying to do this 40 years. Everybody promised. The best was Mr. Biondi, he promised, but he never delivered anything, but he never refused to promise. So every time I had a problem, I came here, I take care of it, they approved the construction in here for the meadows, all the water is coming down, no retention basin. Everywhere around me, all the construction retention basin, and I'm getting flooded. None of them is working. Now with the new development next door, I'm gonna get more, and then you're gonna do the shopping center over there with all the parking, all the roof, all the car, all the traffic and everything else. What's gonna happen to me? How am I gonna get into my house?
Yeah, I'm personally not familiar with what's flooding on your property, so I'll probably follow up. Are you aware of it, Mr. Oskar?
Yes, Mr. Herman and I have had many discussions, particularly in Committeeman Delcor as well, and
Yeah,
Srirachi.
okay.
Has to do with, it came up particularly related to the property next door to the north where a new office building was approved. We spent a lot of time addressing the storm drainage issues to try and keep as much water as possible off of Mr. Herman's property. We've pushed the developer a little bit even beyond what the ordinance requires. Initially, they were going to tie into the DOT system. DOT on 206 said no. So we made them go back to the drawing board, the developer, and our township engineer, Mr. White, has been looking at it very closely, and we've done everything we can to make sure that no additional water is added to Mr. Herman's property. In fact, there'll probably be less than there is now. It's a problem area. It's where 206 floods. The stream goes underneath, and it's an issue. But we've done all we can to ensure that we keep as much stormwater off of Mr. Herman's property as possible.
Okay.
Okay, well, I wrote a letter to the EPA, and they did not answer my letter yet, because what they're gonna do is whatever water coming off from 206 now is going into the ditch, goes under my driveway and goes into the brook. Now they're gonna attach the overflow from the basin to that pipe, okay, and I'm gonna get more water in my property. And I don't think anybody can explain I'm gonna get less, okay, because there's no way they're gonna collect all the water from the parking lot, from the roof, from everywhere in that piece of property, which is about 2 acres, okay, and I'm gonna get less water. Where the water is gonna go? It's gonna come down to my house, and come down to my driveway. I had 3 years or 5 years fighting with EPA back in the 80s. Cost me thousands and thousands of dollars, engineering fees, blueprints and everything. Finally, a township gave in, and I was able to fill up on 2 sides of my driveway so I can get in, because my wife was driving the car in front of the building, the parking lot, driveway, and walking up to the house with the kids because she was afraid the whole thing is going to fall down, is only 8 feet wide, okay?
Well, it seems to be that everyone's familiar with this, and that we've done the extent that we can do, and we can have a further conversation. But this is the introduction of a new ordinance, just clarifying some language. If that pertains to you or not, I don't know. And you're commenting on the introduction of the ordinance itself. So is there a language clarification
thing is
here
that-
that you're questioning, or you're just talking about
No,
just the problem on your property?
Okay, what you're gonna do in here, what I read in here, okay, you're gonna change the thing, instead of using something in there, you're gonna put the engineering department you have to get in touch with, okay? I was trying to do that, they referred me to the zoning, they referred me to this, soil conservation, mosquito, whatever it is.
Right.
I've been all over the place in the past 40 years. I live in that house in 40 years.
Yeah, the clarification in this language is literally just changing the department who's responsible to call. So I think that might help you in the future, because you'll directly go to the right person instead of being sent different directions. This is clearly just a clarification of language on this particular ordinance. It's remaining the same otherwise. If we need to look at your particular case closer, we can talk with the business administrator, and
but I was
obviously
trying-
Committeeman Delcor is familiar with this as well, so we can talk about it.
What I was trying to find out, if you're gonna put something in there, what's gonna worth something, because this don't worth anything in there, what you have in there, even if you're gonna change the name.
Yeah, I don't
Because
think
everybody
nothing
tells
else
me-
is changing at this time, but if we feel the need to change in the future, we can certainly look at that for you, but this is just clarification of language of department and who's responsible at
So
that
no
time.
way you can insert anything in there what's gonna have some bite into it. Okay,
Well,
so
we can-
somebody gonna care.
That takes a lot
what's
more
happening
work
with
than
other
just
people.
inserting something, so we have to go back to the planning board and do other things to change an ordinance. But we can look into what your issue is. If it's one property issue, I can probably guarantee you it may not change. But if it's something that the township ordinance can change to help resolve something easier or better, then we can certainly look at that. But this is just clarification of language of which department to go to.
Okay, so it has nothing to do with rewriting the ordinance
No.
and adding something to it, just changing those two names.
Exactly.
Oh, so I'm not gonna use the word what I was meaning. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments on the floor? Okay, roll call, please.
Commander Bichette?
Yes.
Commander Delcor?
Yes.
Commander Sarachi?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Thompson?
Yes.
Mayor McCauley?
Yes. Introduction of 2018-08 is an ordinance amending Chapter 166 Fire Prevention, Section 166-14, permit fees, and 166-15, certificate of smoke detector and carbon monoxide compliance of the Township Code of Township of Hillsborough, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey. Further consideration and public hearing will be held on July 10th of 2018. Sorry. May I have a motion to introduce this ordinance?
So
moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comments from the dais?
Yeah, I just wanted to just add a couple of comments. I had a chance to speak with Chris Weniger, who heads up fire safety for us. Just some interesting points here is the change to the ordinance is both in verbiage and some of the fee schedule that was adopted by the New Jersey Fire Code February of this year. The fire code, just for some background, hasn't been updated in over 12 years, and the fee schedule has not changed in 15 years. So the proposed fee change is in here covering two areas, permits and the certificate of smoke alarm compliance, which actually Dr. Schiff was alluding to, because it also includes the carbon monoxide detectors too. So basically, what winds up happening is, I guess the one significant change here is the type 1 permits that are listed in here, which are only going from $60 to $80, which the permit fees, the purpose of them are to help offset the costs of the fire safety office of some of their expenses. And a lot of times these type of, particularly the type 1 permits are involved in inspections that the department incurs overtime hours in, time and a half if it's after hours, Saturdays, or double time on Sunday. So that's where that's going. It's not covering their full cost, but it is doing, it is something that is much needed. And again, the second area that I alluded to was the certificate of smoke alarm compliance, which is generally when a home is sold, and I know the mayor and then Deputy Mayor Thompson are both familiar with those requirements when there is a change. One of the things is that fee has not changed, it's still $50. And one of the things that's interesting is in a lot of municipalities, they will charge you that $50 every time they go in. So if you failed, you're going to wind up paying another $50. To credit to Mr. Weniger's department, they give you 3 bites at the apple to pass for that $50. So that's definitely a nice plus there. So again, just to recap, this is just a change in fire code. 12 years since it's happened, and the fees have not changed in 15 years. So these are very modest considering what what I'm sure the rate of inflation would have been over the 15 years. These are pretty minor, so just wanted to add that in.
Okay. Any other further comments?
Yeah, Mayor, I just have one. This is for a township attorney. Does this include fire extinguishers? The inspection of fire extinguishers?
There's a provision in there that you have to have fire extinguishers.
Yeah, so that's the thing that I find most ridiculous is the fact that since I was, I don't know, a preschooler, they've taught you to get out of a house and not try to fight a fire yet. We have a code that literally says in the middle of your kitchen, 5 feet off the ground, you got to stick a fire extinguisher mounted to the wall. Yet we tell every single child to get out and don't try to fight a fire.
And it's interesting you brought that up because I asked Mr. Weniger about that, the genesis of that.
Well, I can tell you the story if you want. I can tell you exactly where it came from.
The Cody?
It was actually Senator Joe Coniglio who did do some time in a federal, let's say a federal facility, went to a school, and when they said, hey, do you have any good ideas for legislation, he asked a bunch of third graders, and a third grader said, yes, I have a great idea. My parents bought a house, and it'd be great if a fire extinguisher was in the house at the time of sale. And that started the genesis of how we stood here today and have this requirement, that every single firefighter would tell you should get out of your house if there's a fire. The good news is, or half good news is that Assemblyman Wisniewski, when he was in the legislature 2 terms ago, got a bill all the way to the governor's desk, and Governor Christie vetoed it. So we were very close. And I'm very happy to say that Assemblyman Fryman just introduced legislation to get rid of the requirement of having a fire extinguisher in your house stuck to the wall in the middle of your kitchen, regardless of what material is in there. Because it is absolutely dangerous for someone to think that they could just fight a fire and not get out and call 911. So I will get off my soapbox, but this one bothers me more. Thank you for not increasing the fees for that inspection, but at the same time, it makes no sense when we tell every child to get out of the house and fight to stop and not to fight a fire, that suddenly we're saying, hey, give it a whack. So, sorry.
Any other comments? Okay. Any comments from the floor? Right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Bishop.
Yes.
Councilmember Delacroix.
Yes.
Mr. Sarachi.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Begrudgingly, yes. That's a category.
Mayor McCauley.
Yes. Thank you. Moving on to considerations tonight. Consideration number 1, resolution authorizing the hiring of Jay Winters and Jeffrey Villegas to the positions of Public Worker 1 in the Township of Hillsborough Department of Public Works, effective May 23rd, 2018, at a salary of $33,063 per year. There exist vacancies in the Department of Public Works, and this will hiring these fellows will fill those vacancies. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments on the dais?
Just a quick one, Mayor. I had an opportunity to interview both Mr. Winters and Mr. Villegas. Great background experience that we need in the department. As well, I interviewed with our director, DPW, Rich Reserve, and also Supervisor Jeff Huxley. So looking at their backgrounds and be able to start, so be a good addition to the team. And they're both backfill positions.
Thank you. Any comments from the floor? Okay, roll call.
Councilmember Bishop.
Yes.
Councilmember Delacroix.
Yes.
Councilmember Sarachi.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Thompson.
Yes.
Mayor McCauley.
Yes, and I'm sorry, I just want to correct myself. That was consideration number 2. We did consideration number 1 earlier, didn't we? Yes. Okay, sorry about that for the record. Consideration number 3 is resolution authorizing the hire of summer employees and for the Department of Public Works at a rate of $10 per hour funded through the Clean Communities Grant. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments on the dais? Any from the floor? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bishop.
Yes.
Councilmember Delacroix.
Yes.
Councilmember Sarachi.
Yes.
Mayor Thompson.
Yes.
Mayor McCauley.
Yes. Consideration number 4, resolution awarding a contract for 2018 capital roadway resurfacing of New Elmwell Road. Sections 2 and 3 to Top Line Construction Corporation in an amount not to exceed $946,518.55. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments from the dais? Any comments from the floor? Roll call, please.
Committeeman Burchett?
Yes.
Committeeman Delcor?
Yes.
Committeeman Sirachi?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Thompson?
Yes.
Mayor McCauley?
Yes. Consideration number 5 is a resolution amending the award of contracts for 2018 road maintenance materials. This resolution simply just clarifies an amount that was a typographical error, and we're just correcting it. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments from the dais? Any from the floor? Roll call, please.
Committeeman Burchett?
Yes.
Committeeman Delcor?
Yes.
Committeeman Sirachi?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Thompson?
Yes.
Mayor McCauley?
Yes, thank you. Moving on to the consent agenda tonight, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the dais?
Mayor, just wanted to congratulate, we had a couple officers that last year, Committeeman Burchett and I got the opportunity to recommend for hire through the personnel process, and it's good to see that these two officers get through the probation and become permanent employees.
Yes, congratulations to them. Thank you. Any further comments? Any comments from the floor? Roll call, please.
Committeeman Burchett?
Yes.
Committeeman Delcor?
Yes.
Committeeman Sirachi?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Thompson?
Yes.
Mayor McCauley?
Yes. The claims list tonight, 2018-10, may I have a motion to approve the claims list?
So moved.
Second, Mayor.
Thank you. Any comments on the dais? Any comments from the floor? Okay, roll call, please.
Committeeman Burchett?
Yes.
Committeeman Delcor?
Yes.
Committeeman Sirachi?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Thompson?
Yes.
Mayor McCauley?
Yes, this concludes our regular meeting tonight. We do have an executive meeting, so Ms. Bork.
Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975 permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas the Township Committee is of the opinion that such circumstances exist, now therefore be resolved by the Township Committee of the Township of Hillsborough, County Somerset, State of New Jersey as follows. Number 1, the public shall be excluded from the discussion of the hereinafter specified matter. Number 2, the general nature of the matters to be discussed is as follows: litigation, affordable housing, and Hillsborough properties. Number 3, the Township Committee may take official action on those items discussed in the executive session. Upon the completion of the executive session, number 4, the minutes of those discussions shall be made available to the public as soon as the matters under discussion are no longer confidential or sensitive in nature. Number 5, this resolution shall take effect immediately.
Okay, thank you. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second, Mayor.
Thank you. Any comments from the dais? Any from the floor? Roll call, please.
Committeeman Burchett? Committeeman Delcor?
Yes.
Sirachi?
Yes.
Mayor Thompson?
Yes.
Mayor McCauley?
Yes, thank you. We'll be concluding our evening tonight until we come out of executive session. Have a good night. Thank you.